If you've ever felt completely crushed by academic pressure, studying late into the night and feeling like your entire future hinges on a single test score, then this explainer is specifically for you. We're going to take some really rigorous academic research and transform it into a highly practical tool for your daily life.
Look, before we get into anything, we absolutely have to acknowledge the immense burden of academic expectations you might be facing right now. We all know that studying for major competitive exams feels like carrying a literal mountain on your shoulders. It trains you mentally and it trains you physically. But what if a super simple daily habit could actually lighten that load? Like, can writing just 3 little sentences a day actually cure, or at least dramatically reduce, your exam stress?
Well, to figure that out, our explainer today is grounded in a fascinating study from the Loyola College of Social Sciences. The researcher S.R. Sivapriya looked specifically at the extreme pressure cooker of UPSC civil service aspirants in Kerala, India. For context, these students are preparing for one of the absolute most grueling, competitive, and high-stakes exams in the entire world. Their stress levels are, understandably, off the charts, which actually makes them the perfect, rigorous test group for exploring stress reduction techniques.
So here is our roadmap for today. 1. The crushing weight of exams. 2. The science of gratitude. 3. The 15-day journaling experiment. 4. What the data revealed. And 5. How to start journaling.
Let's jump into Section 1, the crushing weight of exams, the reality of high stakes. Students preparing for competitive exams face an intense amount of emotional strain in isolation. And the tough part is, accessible, non-clinical mental health strategies are rarely available to them. We're talking about dealing with insanely high academic expectations, wildly fluctuating motivation, and just this persistent uncertainty about the future. The infrastructure honestly just isn't there to support the emotional well-being of the millions of students who are pushing themselves to their absolute limits.
Which brings us to Section 2, the science of gratitude, a scalable intervention.
This brings us to gratitude journaling. Now, this is a self-guided activity involving regular reflection on the positive experiences in your life. It's about intentionally recording the positive aspects of your day to foster positive emotions, broaden your thought-action repertoires, and build psychological resilience. And listen, it's really important to note that this is not just empty toxic positivity. It's actually a deliberate cognitive exercise designed to completely rewire how you perceive your daily life and the challenges within it.
It actually brilliantly illustrates Fredrickson's broaden and build theory. See, negative emotions, like the stress you feel before a big exam, give us tunnel vision. They narrow our focus into pure survival mode, where we only see threats and pressure. But positive emotions, like gratitude, they physically broaden our capacity to cope. They encourage flexible, adaptive thinking and help us build up long-term personal resources. So you are literally expanding your mind's toolkit to handle stress.
Let's move on to Section 3, the 15-day journaling experiment, measuring real impact. So how did they test this? The researcher used a mixed methods design, putting an experimental group that journaled for 15 days up against a control group that just went about their normal routine. Step 1 was a pre-test using the perceived stress scale, just to get a baseline for everyone. Step 2 involved those 15 days of daily gratitude journaling, specifically for the experimental group. And then Step 3 was a post-test to measure any actual changes in their stress levels.
The main goal here was to see if this incredibly simple, self-guided activity could truly move the needle on stress for such a highly pressured, underserved group. Like, could just 15 days of writing in a basic notebook actually counteract the crushing, overarching pressure of those UPSC exams?
Let's find out in Section 4, what the data revealed, statistical significance.
The results are awesome. The experimental group saw a statistically significant reduction in perceived stress, while the control group saw no significant change at all. With a p-value of 0.031, which means there's less than a 5% chance this was just random luck, the math completely backs this up. The intervention absolutely worked. Just 15 days of this simple habit made a scientifically measurable difference in how stressed these students felt.
But beyond the hardcore math, the qualitative feedback proved this was an incredible story of human resilience. Students reported these profound shifts in their emotional regulation and inner peace. They didn't just feel less stressed. They described genuine emotional upliftment and a major perspective shift where their massive academic problems suddenly felt way more manageable. They cultivated deep self-awareness and learned to see growth through their challenges, all just by writing down a few positive thoughts a day.
Now, to keep it completely realistic,
The study also uncovered practical barriers to the habit. Building resilience definitely still requires discipline. Participants openly admitted to forgetting to write, struggling with tight time constraints, dealing with occasional disengagement, and even fighting emotional resistance. Because let's be honest, when you are incredibly stressed, sometimes the absolute last thing you want to do is look for the positive. It's a practice, and just like any practice, it takes conscious effort to maintain.
So let's talk about Section 5, how to start journaling, applying it to your life.
How do we take this academic discovery and apply it directly to your life right now? Whether you are a high schooler, a grad student, or just anyone looking for accessible mental health tools, this requires nothing more than a pen, some paper, and a few minutes of your time. You just need to dedicate 10 to 15 minutes a day to reflect. You don't need a fancy app, you don't need a subscription or some expensive leather-bound journal. You just need a moment of quiet, focused time.
You can literally start tonight using the exact, simple prompts suggested by the researchers to shift your internal dialogue completely away from anxiety. Try listing 3 things I'm grateful for today. Or, if you want to dig a little bit deeper, reflect on a challenge I overcame and what I learned. These simple prompts actively force your brain to scan your day for victories, no matter how tiny, rather than just endlessly ruminating on your anxieties.
I want to leave you with this final thought to spark your own journey into emotional resilience. If you answer this question right now, you've already begun. What is one challenge you overcame today, and what did it teach you? Take a moment, think about it, and start building your own stress-beating resilience today.